We have musical talent with us today, so I thought I'd jazz up our opening a little bit. A ding 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 a ding.
Fubble time.
He didn't know I was going to do that.
I had no idea.
I practiced in the car. Hi, I am Teresa Tomey.
It really looked like you practiced in the car. It really sounded like it. Hi, and I'm Patrick Ziegler.
And we are
Fubble Entertainment.
And this is
Fubble time.
Woohoo! We are so
Yay.
big. We're so big on the screen.
I know. And everybody, do you think we're in the two different places?
It looks like we are.
But we're not. No, don't touch it. Hi, everybody. We're together. This is our first time together.
First time.
I
That's
know.
crazy. I know. And I was like, oh, that's awfully close. Hey, I'm going to jump right in. These are very long bios. I'm not going to give them to you all because we're going to dive into it. You know them. You love them. We know you know them. We know you love them. Tonight, we are joined by Scott Patrick Bell and Edye Evans Hyde. Scott began performing at age 15. He studied at Interlochen, GRCC, GVSU, East Grand Rapids. He has performed for presidents, for the for Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. He's worked on projects that included Martin Short, Kevin Nealon, and Alan Zweibel. We know about that one. And Tony Randall.
Tony Randall.
What the what? He's worked for Civic Theatre, Actors Theatre, Heritage Theatre, all the theaters here in town. He is a freelance vocal talent. His voice has been heard in many regional jingles and over the years, and ads over the years. He's performed in and taught in venues throughout the USA, and he continues to provide public and corporate entertainment. He is a mensch. We love him. He's incredibly talented, and he bakes gluten-free things.
Oh, he does. He did the other day.
I know. Yeah. He's an amazing chef. Jazz musician, Edye Evans Hyde. She's been making music for over 40 years. Performing has taken her from Michigan to California, Asia, and Europe. She has played with Ray Charles and Arturo Sandaval, Jennifer Holiday, and Clay Aiken. What? She's performed locally with the Grand Rapids Symphony, Grand Rapids Jazz Orchestra. She was in Come On Over,
Yay.
Children's television show,
That's
Miss Lucy. Yay. And Fubble Entertainment's productions of Backstage Drama and Holiday Memories of Grand Rapids.
And just sang our new song.
Our new song. He plays it. He writes it. He composes it. She sings it. She formerly taught classes at Hope College.
She gave me voice lessons.
She gave him voice lessons. She sang in my wedding, in his whatever that was.
My wedding.
Well,
kind of.
And then
our parents' funeral.
Sad. But we love them. Okay.
So much.
I think this was the longest bios we've done, just in terms of the fact that we have two people. So please join us in welcoming the incomparable, both of them. Edye. Scott, go.
Hi.
There he is.
Hi.
There he is. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
We made it.
I know. And I was just texting Mark because he was like, remind me about tonight. And look at, I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm love your new song. Yay. Yay.
We're
We
happy.
love you too, Mark.
What's that?
Sounds like we need to write another song. Sounds like we need to write another song with those words in it.
Well, yeah. Fred Stella, who also wrote on the song, is going to pop up from the basement here in a little bit and stick his head in when we start talking about the song. But what was I going to say about Fred Stella? Oh, he said that we should actually play with the lyric a little bit. He's like, it's such a great song. Like, you should just write a Christmas song that has even more universal appeal.
You know, it's interesting though. People are saying that even though we're saying specific things about Grand Rapids, they can relate to their own hometown and, you know, that are outside of Grand Rapids. So that is so great. So if we do a little bit of an adjustment, as Fred suggests, we got a hit.
Well, let's start as we do every single Fubble time, and we're going to get into some more group talk in just a second. But we like to talk about the creative process here, and one of the things that we like to do is we like to invite our guests to share with us when they first got bitten by the entertainment bug, the theater bug? Like, when did you know that creativity or art, this musical art, was going to be a part of your life? Ladies first.
Oh my, that's hard. Okay. Yes, I think I've always, since I was a little kid, that I wanted to be something in performance. But I think that that was a dream. I think not a lot of people were encouraging it. Like, what are you going to do with that? But I go back to, Diana Ross and the Supremes, and probably even further back than that, when I used to watch and kind of dream about what it would be like to be a singer performer. So yeah, I mean, I personally think that it's always kind of in you from a really, really young age. It's just whether you act on it or not.
Yeah.
Did you, real quick before we jump into Scott, Edye, when did you know you had a voice? That
is wonderful voice.
Probably. Well, the first time I ever was able to sing, my mother had me sing. We lived in Tennessee, and my mom was the choir director of a men's chorus, believe it or not, at her Baptist church. And the first time I remember ever singing is I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow at her church. And so I was probably in the first or second grade, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
And I totally remember how I felt.
Then people had video, how everything's video and captured. It would have been so amazing if that was captured.
Yeah, and I tell you, I know exactly what I did while I was singing. There was an aisle that in between the sections of that particular room. All I did was stare at the aisle. I didn't look at anybody and say, I just sang my song, and it was almost like closing my eyes and going for it. I remember that much of it because I was scared.
Well, we are glad you're not afraid anymore. We have a hello from Barb Wissy, and she wants you to know she made it, Scott. So
I told Barb originally was like, well, the Kennedy honors are on at 8. Oh. And I said, well, they're actually on at 9. So
Mark, tape them. Yeah. Record them.
I told her, well, then they're on at 8. It's a win-win. And then years ago, Barb sang this song called Make It Another Old Fashioned for a show. So anytime I talk to Barb, it always has to do with booze. I mean, go figure. Yeah. So I told her to make herself an old fashioned tonight, and she'd have a win-win-win. So, woohoo, Barb Wissy.
Good for her. Barb.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that, and I'm so hoping Mark
is
just
still
heard
here.
That.
Well, Scott, please tell us your journey.
So, second grade for me, 1970 something, 72, 73. And I was a student at Holy Spirit Church over on Lake Michigan Drive. And we had mass every morning. It was, parochial school. So every morning started with mass. And I would see somebody playing piano or play organ. And I was always fascinated by it. And I always thought, that is so cool. That is something that I would like to do. And I remember asking my parents, how do they make the sound come out? And my mother said, well, they use keys. And I was thinking keys. So I thought there was some lady back there that had one of those big rings of like skeleton keys. And so she was just back there at this thing, turning keys, like you'd open a door. I didn't know it. So in second grade, they brought me in and let me play. And ever since then, it was just, I was obsessed with it. The first piano that my family bought, they picked up in a pickup truck. Oh. And on the corner, bringing it back to the house on the corner of Burton and Plymouth, the thing rolled off of the back end of the pickup truck and literally made, talk about the gates of hell, the worst sound of all time. As it hit the ground, they managed to pick it up, and that thing sat in the garage for a few weeks, and it was just like we just kind of walked out there and stared at it. You know, it's like you poke a stick at it to see if it was fully dead or not, you know? And then I'll never forget this. Like a month later, my parents scraped up the money and they went to Grinnell Brothers. Speaking of old-timey stores in the Grand Rapids area that used to be in the mall.
Yeah.
And they bought a piano, which is actually the same piano that's in our dining room at their house, that I learned how to play the piano on. And I took initial lessons at Grinnell Brothers and then studied with a guy across the street named Lee Ingstrom for years, who I still keep in touch with Lee and his partner. So quite the journey. And then ended up studying with other people and played in high school and went on to Interlochen. And then when I started playing at Civic for ballet classes, like a junior in high school, I would ride the bus downtown to Civic and play for Ed Riffle's classes.
Oh my
gosh. So long ago.
That's crazy.
So
I'm gonna go grab
in dog years, I must be about 150, right? Like,
Ed is on Facebook. He's very active on Facebook, which is.
You know what? I just became friends with Ed on Facebook, and it's been great to see him. I'll make something, and he'll be like, he likes everything you do. Oh. He's a great guy.
What?
I just before you did that when you said that, I just came across this the other day, which is the check that my mother wrote. We're getting sorry, people. To Lois Priestad for $548.50 for our piano in 1967.
Wow.
How much?
Wow.
$548. She spent money. Yeah. So there you go. Speaking of that, anyway, go ahead.
We have a few people joining, which is fun. So I think this is Fred. I don't know what Fred, because Barb Wissey said, hi, Fred. Hello, GR friends. Merry Christmas. And then we have Robert Schroll.
Yeah.
Robert Santa Barbara, longtime Wood Radio and
W Light and
W
WGRD.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Maybe Fred Stella knows who he is.
And then Jim Den Ewell. Merry Christmas to
Hi,
all.
Jim.
The new Christmas song.
Oh, great. We're going to get to that in just a sec, but Patrick's going to ask a question first.
So how often have you two collaborated together?
Oh my gosh, Edye, we were talking about this the other day when we were over at my house laying the tracks out. It's been a few. I'm gonna let Edye answer that question because I might give away some numbers that she doesn't want to share online. Edye, how long ago was that, dear?
You know, I'm at that age now where it's like I don't know when anything was. It was just done. But I'm thinking we have done. Did we do a circle show or I don't remember.
So
Smoky Joe's was not the first one.
We did. The first thing we ever did together, I think, was we ended up doing this gig with Bob Haggard out at Point West. Now, Point West doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be this place out in Holland, out in the lakeshore. And we did like just a gig, like playing, everything from Marvin Gaye to Billie Holiday out there with a couple of other people. And then years later, we ended up doing Ain't Misbehavin' at Circle Theatre, which our dear friend Cedric Ward directed that show. And my favorite line in the show, and I'll never forget this to my dying day, the pit was in the middle of the stage and there were like piano keys all the way around it. And the set designer, piano keys are 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. These were like 3 and 3 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 3. And it was like, so that was wrong. And Edye had some number where they had her dance. And I remember they had her costume. I distinctly remember her feet were like at my eye level. And Edye was dancing in these blue slingback mules. And one of her lines is, she's dancing is, I got it. I got it. And I would look up every night and laugh. And I'd be like, she ain't got it.
She ain't got it.
But
I
we
think
had
that's in the line too. I got it. No, she ain't got it, right?
I think I'm gonna go with it was in the script. Okay. But then years later we did a show called Smoky Joe's Cafe.
Remember. Yep, Smoky Joe's was the big one. And I remember that gig now that you're talking about, that private party that we did, or our gig or whatever. And is that, now this is a crazy story, but is that the same time that you and Bobby came over to my house to rehearse?
Oh my God, this is the best story of all time. How much time do we have on this show? I mean, do we
Go for it.
We've only asked 2 questions and we have about 10 more, but it's good. It's good.
All right. So Edye has 2 lovely children, and at the Evan and Nikki. And at the time, Nikki was taking care of her big brother while Edye ran to the store to get Burger King or something for the kids for dinner while we were going to rehearse, right? So by the time Edye had left for like the 2 minutes and came back, Nikki had cut her brother's hair. So we get there and Nikki's sobbing, right? And Evan's just sitting there like, hey, my sister cut my hair. And Evans, so I've got one big bald spot right now. Evan had 2, like one on the side of his head and one on the other side. But the look on Evan's face is like he's laugh right now. He was just lit up and so happy and just like, my sister just cut my hair.
What did mother do?
And she Nikki met me at the door, but you guys were just getting there because I was being a really bad mom. I'm like, just wait, I'm just gonna go get some McDonald's and I'm gonna come back and they'll be really quick. But by that time, I had mentioned to Nikki a day ago that Evan needed a haircut. So being the person that she is, she decided she was gonna do it for her. But then when she did it, she wasn't sure that it was the right thing. So she met me at the door and she said, I did something and I think you'll like it. And she started crying. And then, and I peeked in and Evan had the biggest smile on his face. Like, look what my sister did for me. And so Scotty were there. And I'm sure how we got into any music, but I think we laughed like the whole time that we were rehearsing.
Well, that's good. That's a good lead into our next question. But first, Jules is here. Scott, she says, Merry Christmas.
She's got a picture of herself on Santa's lap, and that looks like timers.
So I want to know what makes for a good collaboration.
You know what? It's respecting the person that you're with, giving people an opportunity to be heard, listening as a musician. If you're creating, first of all, creating with Edye is like a dream, right? It's like one of the best voices you ever get to work with, you know? I mean that sincerely. So it's like a lot of the time it's like, it's staying out of her way. and it's like, you know, letting this person create and do something amazing and then working together and getting done and saying, yeah, that works. Sometimes it works in a break and sometimes you work something up. But you know, we did this collaboration where we did this a cappella song, Edye, the thing with Lisa Knight. And we did Bridge Over Troubled Water. And the 3 of us just kind of found our places and went there. And I don't know, you know, I think there's some type of magic in the heart of the universe sometimes. Yeah. That kind of assists us all. And some type of grace comes down from wherever you go, comes from for you. And magic happens. What do you think, Edye?
Hey, speaking of magic, I'm going to just jump in here. We've gotten some nice comments there that I've been posting, but Kevin Lustig just said, Scott and Edye, you're like the Burt Bacharach. You're like Burt Bacharach and Dionne Warwick. Love that little.
And Kevin,
I like that.
I like that too.
Talented. Kevin tunes in every week, and he's been on the show. He lives in New York City. He's so talented.
He's an artist himself. But Edye, what about you? What do you think makes for a great collaboration?
I think that's everything Scott says is exactly right. I think there when we did the Christmas song that you guys did put together, I think there was a lot of, I think we know each other because we have worked with each other. So almost knowing what your collaborator is, where they're going is, I don't know if that makes sense, but the more you know about that person that you're working with, the better. When we did the trio thing, it's like I knew Scott's voice, I knew Lisa's voice, and I know I could put mine in there. And that was probably one of the most magical on the cuff, let's do this song thing that we'd ever done. So I think it's knowing the people that you're going to work with makes a good collaboration. Two, knowing if you have any idea about musical form, any musical, what do I want to say? Theoretical things, a conversation that you can actually relate to, if that makes sense. Because sometimes people don't know a language. And if you have a language, your collaboration will go faster. You'll understand each other a lot better. And I think just a mutual respect for the musician that you are working with. So all those things, I think, make for a good collaboration. And to be honest, I have never really not felt comfortable with anyone I have collaborated with, because sometimes there's
great.
give and take. There's give and take. So you know what you're bringing to it. You need to see what the other person's bringing to it and try to make it work.
Yeah, I've personally seen you work with some difficult people, and you find your way through it in a really healthy way. I appreciate that.
I'm sitting right here.
I think I know what story you're talking about, Teresa, but I'm not going to get into that.
No, we don't have to get into it, but I mean, I think that's part of it. It's interesting. And it's interesting when you talk about the language too, because, you know, Patrick and I working with you, we don't have the language of music, you know, we just have a sense of kind of big picture, what we want to accomplish. So it's fun to sit in the room and watch you two kind of work it out, you know,
Yeah.
And it's goosebumps. That you guys are kind of working through.
The language is so important because then you know where each other's going, you know.
And I will say this.
Sorry,
I will say this too, Edye. And I'm going to out you, Scott Patrick Bell, in that, you know, the day before, I think, or the morning of, we were talking back and forth, and we knew we still had some sticky places. And Scott was like, but we all know our priority is to make Edye's comfortable. And, you know, he was like, I just want to make sure that, because you came to it last, you know, and here's music, Edye, quick, sing it, you know. It's like, let's, you know, and I think that is also a real mark of being in a process with somebody who's really good, because he wants your day to be successful. And I think that's something really good about
you, Scott. He knows my voice. He knows me, so he knows where to go with it.
Well, and then I love it, because when we first started talking about the project, Teresa said, yeah, I talked to Edye. She goes, tell Scott he knows my key. I was like, and, you know, yeah, that's cool. I mean, and that's like working with somebody for many years, you know, yeah, it was like, when we first started going at it, I put a couple of different keys in a Dropbox so that Edye could pick out which key she was going to use, and she picked out the one that I knew she was going to pick out, which was great. But here was the cool thing about that process that day, though. We had that kind of preface, and then things really didn't solidify until Patrick and Teresa and Edye and I were all in the same room together, because we had a whole section of words that were like, what rhymes with orange? What rhymes with, you know, with a word that doesn't have a rhyme? What rhymes with this word? And it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? This is rhyme. And we had worked in a couple of different Zoom meetings and via Dropbox links and Google Drive links and all this stuff. And I'll tell you, that came together when physically all four of us sat in a room together. And it was, I mean, I don't know if it was like, holy, we got to get this thing done now, you know, because we're all here and we got to sing it, you know, but it was that creative energy. Again, there's that magic that happens when people actually get together, and that's what I think has been tough with COVID is that we have been creating not in the same spaces, and that's been challenging, you know, but it seemed like once the minute all four of us got together in a room, it was like, oh, well, this is easy. And it was before it was like, yeah, you know.
Well, I think the thing is
Yeah.
that we had the story, and you know where you guys are talking about how you work, and that we're not necessarily musicians in any form, but we had a story. And then, so what's the best way to tell that story? And like the Herbolsheimer's train was never white, you know, finding that out.
Who knew? I guess I found out during this project. And then what's funny is I was talking to my dad one day after we had done that. And I said, you know, I always thought that train was white. He's like, that train was never bleeping white.
But
Scott, the reason Patrick's bringing it up is Scott had a lyric about the train being white. We're like, we can't do the white lyric. Nobody's going to know.
Well, and what's funny, if you look in that video that Todd put together, the train's yellow. And I was like, wow, it really wasn't white. It wasn't. That's no.
Before we've got one more question before we get to the song.
Which
one do you want to ask?
Well, this is interesting right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So what's the most challenging thing you've done creatively? Other than our song.
other than this?
Oh, man.
Together or anything like that, you know. And maybe it's a personal thing, you know. Is it doing a drama? Is it, you know?
I don't mind. One of mine was playing for Cedric's funeral. That was tough. Playing for somebody that's gone through love, that's hard. And we do it because we love that person, and that's what we do. I mean, artistically challenging. I mean, other than that, you know, for me, my job has traditionally been to create a pit orchestra for a show with a limited number of musicians, because the budgets have gone from shoestring to spaghetti to dental floss to spider web now. Yeah. I mean, the money is just, it's harder and harder to come by money. Orchestras it's like, okay, Scott, we want you to do West Side Story. And we have the budget for 5 musicians. And actually, no lie, we did Cats at Circle with like 10 musicians, or we did Chess, I think, at Actors Theater years ago with like 5 musicians. So it's being creative and trying to figure out ways around that. The downside is that I hate about what I've done most of my career is I've had to cut musicians out of the picture and consolidate an orchestra and make it work with what the company has in their budget, which is always nothing, right? Wow. The awesome thing is you've got a connection. Like Chess didn't sound orchestral, but we had a Chess that sounded like Queen, the rock group Queen, which was cool. And you know, so those are that's the hardest thing that I deal with.
Interesting.
How about you, Miss Edye?
And that's a big point, Scott. I mean, that's the whole business aspect of things. And I'm going through that with my theater company. How do we do the best that we can do with the lack of money that you're going to get? I think artistically for myself, I have always, everything I ever do always feels like insurmountable to me. I don't know why. When I was doing musicals at first, it was like, oh, fun, I can learn this song really, really fast and this and that and the other. But when I started doing plays, straight plays, terrorizing to me. I hate memorizing lines, you know, just terrorizing. So I'm going to say the hardest show that I ever did off the top of my head was playing Billie Holiday and Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill. It was seriously, I think it was like the 3rd show I'd ever done. It was like the first straight play I'd ever done. And here I am by myself on this stage, and rehearsals were horrible because you don't have anyone to bounce the lines off of. And there was music. If you know anything about this show, there's music infused in the play. It's a play with music. And I didn't realize this. Joe Doolin was the director. I didn't realize this, but I never memorized the music. I never memorized. I never worked on the music.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was so darn scared about the lines. And Joe told me one day, he said the music was actually the harder part because you would go for, pages of monologue before you'd have to come back in on a song that there was no prep to. So I had to remember one key to another key because it needed, like I was just coming up with it on my own and not being prepped by the piano player. But the music was easy to me. So I don't know what that was. It was like I was in another world. It was like I was on another planet. I don't even know how I got to that show. But I would say that was
worked for the show.
So we got a big question, Edye.
Yeah.
From Kevin.
Yeah.
Can we hear a little of your Billie Holiday Lady Day?
Oh God, really? If I should take a notion, drop into the ocean, ain't nobody's business if I do. That's it.
Yay.
That is a bit of Billy.
Good question. Yeah, and in that conversation there also, Edye, which didn't come out in your bio because I was skimming them so fast. You started a theater company, Ebony Road Players. So there's that.
Yes.
And that is ebonyroad.org. Is that correct?
It's ebonyroad.org. Yes.
Yep. ebonyroad.org. So we will check that out. We are going to turn the tables real quick and chat a little bit about the song. Fred Stella, if you're in the basement, why don't you come on up and join the conversation? We're going to let little Fred Stella, since he was part of this too, kind of jump in here. So I guess, we've already been kind of talking a little bit about it.
Oh, Kevin just applauded.
I want to know, what made you guys say yes to this project? Because I don't know the answer to that question.
Because I begged.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love you guys.
Patrick begged.
What, Edye?
Yeah. Patrick begged. Called me. Because I was like, I don't think I had time for this. And he is a loyal former student. And Teresa's a sweetheart, but when I said I don't know, it was easier to say no to Teresa. I don't know why that was, but Patrick came back around.
But you did it in a text.
You did it in a text. And Patrick's like, I said, Edie's out. And he's like, why? And I said, because she's busy. She's got a lot going on. I'm calling her. No, she's got to do this. Her voice. It has to be her voice. I can't, no, it's got to be Edye. So there you go.
So grateful that you did it, Edye.
Oh,
so
great.
And why did you
It was
say
fun.
yes?
I'm glad I did it.
Well, thank you. Why did you say yes, Scott? I'm so curious.
Well, I love you guys, first of all. And then they were like, and this may have been before that you guys got Edye. They were like, oh, Edie's going to sing. I'm like, oh, I'm in. But really, I'll tell you what sealed the deal is when you guys sent me the first draft of lyrics and the ideas that you were putting together. And I looked at that and I thought, wow, okay. So I grew up in this city and all of these cool visions of going down Monroe Mall with like my great aunt Jo and taking the bus and which unfortunately was a line that we didn't add, which I love that line because I remember taking the bus to go downtown. That's what we did. I might have even been like a 15-cent bus ride to get to downtown from Stocking Street or wherever, where she lived. And I mean, just the visual images that we were putting together. And really, I mean, you guys had great ideas and, we put together a way to make them musical and poetic. And Edye, boy, you sure did the job. making it listenable. You covered up everything that we couldn't get done and made it work, which Patrick, next time I negotiate a car or anything, you're coming along with me. That's
oh God. Sorry, I've got to block a user. He just wrote something just absolutely filthy. Oh no, I'm trying to get rid of it. Sorry.
I'll do it.
I got rid of him. He was not a good person. So anyway, Fred Stella has joined us here. And Fred, the original incarnation of this.
I was.
So how did this start?
It started by you going, oh my gosh, we've got this whole night before Christmas thing for our live show and we don't have it done. Please do it. Or please at least contribute. Help. Yeah. And so I just went off by myself and scribbled out a few lines, and it, I believe, made it more complete. And then it became this.
Yeah. He started out when we did our holiday special. We did it. And then we started by sending it. We basically sent to, oh my God, what is happening?
I don't know.
We've got somebody who's just.
We've got spammers.
We've got spam happening. It's just crazy. It's driving me crazy. I tried to block him. Blocked him.
Different person.
No, I tried to block him too.
I'm doing it.
Okay. Sorry. They're just, somebody's leaving.
It's so random.
It's so random. They're leaving really terrible things.
About Teresa.
Wow.
So it's obviously somebody I know. I know. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought because
what I will say, this is how it happened. I wrote some stuff and Teresa went, Fred, it's really bad. Help. It's true. And then
you have to start.
She'll say, well, I'll have Fred take a look at it. And I'm always like, yeah, she doesn't like it at all.
So here's another gem of irony. So Fred and I did a show at Ladies Literary Club about 1,000 years ago when the earth was cooling, and I played George Gershwin and he played Ira Gershwin. So oddly, we've already worked together and done like lyrics and music before, haven't we?
In a previous incarnation, we absolutely
you are my brother from another mother, Fred.
That's it.
I always will be.
And my ambition is that 50 years from now, Disney Plus will do an 8-hour special on us.
8 hours.
like the Beatles.
Oh, like the Beatles.
Yeah, of course, Patrick wouldn't get that reference.
No. Sorry. No, but I mean, it did come together in an amazing way. And it was one of those last minute Fubble ideas. And so we are so thankful to 3 of you that came together with Teresa and I to make this happen. And now the video with Todd's edit is getting great feedback. And what I love about that is, people heard it on the radio and now they visually can see it. And hopefully, eventually, it's going to be available for download and purchase. So
we are working to make that happen.
Yes, we are.
But again, this kind of came together very last minute. So thank you for stepping in last minute. We are grateful for you and grateful to share our memories. Grateful that Edie's in our first holiday memories. She was in our first holiday memories, our second holiday memories, and now our holiday memories.
3 of the first renditions. So the very first one you did with your mom that you, that little short one that Chuck edited for us, and that one gangbusters. And so that's what made us go, oh, we should do something more. And Teresa came up with the idea, kind of jokingly with me, let's do, why is he still there? Let's do.
What is he saying?
You don't want to know. It's bad.
Wow. That's about me.
Yeah, that one was about Patrick because he used it.
The F word.
Somebody's having a good time.
So we came up with the musical retrospect that we did, and then we came up with the non-musical retrospect that we did after that.
And now you're here doing music with us. So we appreciate you guys being on our journeys with us, Fubble friends along the way. So we really appreciate it.
And I'm putting the links for people that haven't seen it yet. They can go to our YouTube page and like it and share it. And we're getting great feedback. And we've got like over 100 shares of it already. And tomorrow, we're waiting to hear from about interviews. So look on the TV tomorrow for some interviews, and we'll post about that. So it's exciting.
Yeah,
that's great. And right after the song came out, I had a few people message me about where to get it. Where to get the recording from. So that'll be nice.
We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to get it on iTunes, but the process takes a little bit longer than we had. Oh my God. Sorry, this is the worst. So it's taken us a while to try to figure that out, because Patrick said, like, I think at the end of November, we should do a Christmas song. So it's been a long, it's been a quick journey.
That was quick.
Yeah.
That was very quick, because usually people start, or much earlier than that to do that. So I have to thank. I'm going to give my hats off to Scott for pulling it together, because it's the mixing. It's not only just the recording, but the mixing and making sure you ain't singing flat or sharp or, all that good stuff is a lot of work. So I appreciate you, Scott.
Yeah, crazy how quickly he did that. Wait, look there's our recording studio. He's in our recording studio right now.
You were laughing about the recording studio. So the recording studio is my office at my house. It's not like, we're going out to, River City or where, it's like, well, let's see if we can even get this thing together first before we, spend a gajillion dollars going into a studio to find out that it's like, wah, wah, wah.
Right.
But I got to do
right.
Edye sang this whole song just by listening to what I did, and didn't have a lead sheet or really, and we were changing the lyrics and printing them off of the printer. Patrick was behind my desk, and Teresa was on the other side of the office, scrambling to type in lyrics, and Edie's like, yeah, hey, what does this say again? I'm like, yeah, okay. There were. And we did it all without the mood altering drugs that I should have put in the popovers before you guys came over.
Yep.
There's something, and I know you guys there's something to once you get in a space, talking about being creative. Once you get in a space, you just start concentrating. It's like your brain it is on that thing that you're working on. And I think that, there's some psychology books out on that. I felt like that's where we were. We were just in that creative space making that work.
Well, I don't want to compare us to but there's some really prominent Christmas movies that were decided very last minute and are huge successes. And sometimes that's just what happens is, you get an idea, and if it's meant to be, it just all comes together and is produced. And I'm just grateful that the reason that we did it is, once again, the world needs some joy and kindness and love, and that was the main reason. It was just like, what can we do this year, because we hadn't done anything this year, and we're working on our Christmas movie, getting that made, but this year we wanted to do something different. So thank you for being a part of that with us. And with that, Sheila, get in your car, driving over. Thank you, Edye. Thank you. Love you guys so much. Thank you, Edye. Thank you, Scott. We're going to, John Fenner just showed up, said loved it. Jan Fenner just showed up. Said, loved it. Does somebody Scott knows? Scott.
My aunt. Yep.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. Didn't he do good? I got a nice compliment from your dad on the Facebook today, Scott. So it's good. It's good. And Edie's friends are all surfacing, watching it and loving it. So it's great.
Let's start working on something for next Christmas.
We are.
Right now. Okay.
We actually are.
Oh,
Give us the idea, like Thanksgiving, same as this year.
What's that, Scott?
Give us the idea, like Patrick's going to call Teresa around Thanksgiving and say, "Hey, let's do something for Christmas."
That's usually what happens. Hopefully, we'll make it happen in January this year. And Emil is here. Emil comes
Hi,
from
Emil.
Los Angeles,
California.
So, yeah.
Hi, Emil.
Thanks for being here. Thanks, everybody. Scott and Edie, we're going to throw you into the green room. Don't run away. Fred Stella, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And don't run away. We'll be right back with you guys. And with these guys, we're going to say thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, Fred Stella.
You're more than welcome, Teresa Tomei.
And for the first time, and there's another nasty thing. So that's how popular we are. We're getting spammed.
We've
so
finally gotten spammed.
How do you
I don't know. It makes me
get rid
sad.
of it? So
it's all good.
we're talking about love and kindness, and we're going to focus on that.
That's right.
So we're not on. Are we on next week?
No, we're not on next week.
Well, we had talked about something.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not.
No.
Good. Okay.
You're out of town. Okay, we are going to be joining you in January. We're going to be talking children's television for the month of January. We've got some really fun people working in LA and other places, and it's going to be very fun. With that, we say thank you for joining us tonight. And as we say always, you going to join us, Fred?
Okay.
Gotta
Gotta go. Happy